This is Perp back with another video, and I just got out of watching It Lives Inside. This is a brand new horror movie coming out of Neon, and definitely one of my most anticipated horror movies to drop. It's interesting because this trailer was playing during a lot of different movies that I've saw throughout the year, but there hasn't been really huge marketing behind it. And it doesn't have very many show times for it being opening night. Maybe that will change over the weekend and more people will go check this out, because I definitely recommend checking this out off rip. Even though this was a PG-13 horror movie, which was kind of disappointing, I was still optimistic and pretty intrigued on watching this. So this follows the character of Sam, or Samita, and she comes from an Indian family where they're really serious about that culture, and I find that to be interesting. We don't get a lot of Indian focused type of movies in theaters outside of like Bollywood, which I was never really into those types of films. But to take something from from Indian culture, as far as like who are their boogeymans, or what are some of the stories that they were told when they were kids, and they kind of incorporate that into this movie, where there's this entity that goes around feeding on people's flesh, their hatred and all that. But going back to Sam real quick, I like how they introduce her character, where she's just kind of going into high school trying to fit in. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to get that white acceptance, and she has this kind of rift between her and her mom, where her mom is really ingrained with the culture and feels like Sam feels ashamed to be who she is, and her trying to just fit in with these other people that don't really understand her culture or understand her as a person. And it's interesting to kind of see that. And she also has somewhat of a crush in this movie. He goes by the name of Russ. Don't expect much for his character, even though I was expecting him to kind of be an asshole, because you would assume that just based on his kind of like character traits and stuff like that. He ended up being a okay character, but don't get too attached. So what ends up happening is, one day at school, this girl Tamara comes into class, and her and Sam have a past, but they kind of drifted away. She comes in really like distraught, something's wrong, and she's holding this glass jar, this like mason jar, and she's just freaking out constantly. She goes to this like really creepy abandoned house to kind of feed this jar something, like a piece of meat. And she tries to go to Sam to ask for help, but Sam kind of rejects her, which leads her to drop this jar and release whatever is in that jar out into the wild, not knowing, after that goes down, Tamara kind of goes missing, and now Sam kind of feels guilty, and she wants to kind of look into this because she feels like she has to be out there somewhere. Something is going on, and the deeper and deeper she looks into it, the more dangerous it becomes for herself. And not knowing, while this is going on, whatever entity was attached to Tamara is now fucking with Sam. And I really like that build up, where the atmosphere in this movie is really eerie, it's really creepy. How they display the entity or the creature by putting him in these dark spaces. And it's a very dark movie on purpose though, and it's very effective. And I like the cinematography, the uses of certain lightings, and the oranges and the like reddish type of hues that they go with throughout this movie. It's really dope. But I will say some of the special effects are a little wonky at times. You'll definitely notice it. But other times I can really appreciate just how they set up this whole entire movie, and even putting in the Indian culture and stuff like that, and just getting kind of the backstory of what this creature is and what this creature wants and what it does to a person, where it just literally feeds on a person until it's ready to take its soul. Do I wish this was rated R? Yes. Does it hurt that it's PG-13? Not really, because I will say a lot of the scares in this are very effective. They don't try to go for the cheap scares, even though there are some jump scares that are kind of like meh, but then there's other scares that are like, damn, that got me, that got me. Overall, man, I really enjoyed this movie, especially the ending, because the ending is what I like to see in a horror movie, where it's not necessarily a happy ending, but it's a happy ending with a compromise. I would say that without kind of spoiling it. And just all the different relationships that Sam has in this movie, the people that care about her, and what she's willing to do to protect them or try to make things right, make amends, and really embrace her culture again. It's really dope. I really enjoyed this movie. It was really worth watching. If you have seen this movie, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments below. I will be curious to hear y'all thoughts on it. Definitely one of my favorite horror movies of the year. It's up there with Talk to Me and like Cobweb, Evil Dead Rise, Scream 6. It's definitely up there. That's just my opinion. Just my short, quick thoughts on the movie. Definitely recommend going and check it out. But till next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.